Welcome back. Now we're going to meet another young person in business.
Hello, my name's Katie Knight and I'm the owner and managing director of a business called Respect. We are a boutique recruitment agency specialising in digital media and we're 4 years old. Before Respect, I did work in recruitment and prior to that in media, but I never really throughout school and university had a concrete idea of what profession I wanted to go into. What I did know was that I was ambitious, I was highly competitive, I loved people and loved knowing about what made them tick. And to me, success was not working hard and making money for somebody else, it was doing it for yourself. And that was really a goal for me very early on. Working for a recruitment agency before I started Respect. I was only 26 years old and really felt digital media was a big growth sector. It wasn't being tapped into at the time. And secondly, and most importantly, felt that there was a need for a recruitment agency that was acting as a professional service that cared and respected candidates' careers and their experience, had high integrity working with the client and acted as a trusted advisor. And thirdly, to create an environment, a chance for staff to be, to learn, develop, to work as a team and overall be respected. We discovered very early on that the people that were most successful in our business had come from a consultative background and also come from a media background themselves. So they could go out to a client, have a clever conversation about their business and also about the roles they were filling because they'd all come from the environment themselves. We had a great year one. We hired our first member of staff. We moved from the front lounge room of my business partner's apartment to a new office. We managed to pay back our investor with interest in a matter of 6 to 8 months, and we had an annual turnover of $500,000. Year two was a little bit different. We decided to expand nationally into Melbourne, and the month before the GFC hit, and despite working hard and trying our best, Melbourne made a huge loss and my business partner's health really suffered and unfortunately passed away early this year. From then on the back of a GFC, I've managed to turn the business round. We're now in the black, we're now making profit. I've streamlined all of our internal processes, we've hired a new staff, we've moved into a new office, and throughout all this time I've been pregnant, which has had its own challenges. So we're in a good place, and I really feel that if you work hard, you keep going, and you keep learning, then you can be successful in anything you do.
Well, Katie's got a fantastic business now, and I want to know, Don, when are we going to get a dog for the small Biz Central office?
Absolutely, we can sit right there. That'd be perfect.
So what are your impressions?
Oh, look, I think that's a great looking company. I like the fact that she's gone after a niche market. You know, she had experience in digital media, so she focused her business on that area, and it looks like that's really worked for her. And I like the fact that she's hiring people who have experience in that industry as well. So as she said, they can go out and have an intelligent conversation with the client. And she also treats her candidates very well. You know, she looks at both sides, the candidate and her customer. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that business.
Such amazing communication skills, and clearly she talked about how she hired staff with media experience. I know that, Dory, you always talk about good communication with suppliers, with customers, and that kind of follow-up being its own advertising?
Well, yeah, I guess it's important that you treat your clients and your customers as partners. And I really enjoyed watching that because I saw a lot of similarities with her business to my business. You know, I started at 26. And you know, she ventured off to Melbourne, which what I had done as well. But you know, she worked in the industry prior to that. She found a niche market. She saw what the industry wasn't doing and focused on doing something the opposite to it. And I think if you find your niche, you will grow. And that's something that I focus on my business. So I think she's on the right track.
Matt, we always think about marketing as being kind of these big, highfalutin promotions and stuff. I know that you've got a lot of marketing experience. Can it come down to those baseline communication skills?
It can. You know, if you can't sell your business, you're really going to struggle to get any traction in the marketplace. What I've seen in Katie's business is she's someone that is very resilient. You know, it's a moving story. We've got pregnancy, we've got the loss of a business partner, and we've got a small business which comes with, you know, many challenges. But despite all that, Katie is moving forward and she's got a strong intention. She can communicate that well through her stakeholders and she's moving forward. It's a great story.
You can't really fault her, can you, Don? Because, I mean, in terms of a risk management strategy, how can you foresee the month after you...
Yeah, look, I mean, those things happen, you know, but the fact that she was able to get through it, you know, there was enough strength in her core business in Sydney that she could take the loss of Melbourne and move on. And
so clearly that's proof that it was a calculated risk because she knew that the core business could carry it.
That's right, yeah, but I'm sure she would have learned more out of that experience than most things in the past, you know, 5 or 10 years. So, yeah, as I say, it's a good experience moving forward.
I know in your experience in the aerospace industry, you always talk about how when you're hurting, you also know that the competition's hurting. It's like a marathon race. Sure, your guts are burning, but everyone else's is too, and there's opportunities there.
Well, that's right. I mean, a downturn like we experienced with the GFC can be an opportunity as much as anything else. And if you can keep your business in good shape so that when tough times do come, you know, it can be an opportunity to move forward.
Stole my idea. I was about to say
it happens in small Biz Central and in the business world. So Dory, I mean, I know that you've had lots to do with the Sydney Kings. I think you were, when you were 12, you were one of the towel boys down there, and you obviously played representative basketball around the world. And then you came back, and one of your dreams is to be an owner of the Sydney Kings. But of course, we know that they've had some problems in the last couple of years. How do you deal with that?
Well, for me, you know, when I came back, when I was in a fortunate position that I had the funds there to sort of invest into my team. That was prior to the collapse of the Kings. But you know, it was a dream for me to sort of get involved with it, and you know, I knew how much money I wanted to lose with that, so it wasn't a business decision to make money. But I looked at avenues of how I can market my business within the sporting arena, and I did do that. Entertain clients courtside, had my corporate branding on the side of the court, and yet enjoy the sport. So if you are going to take risks, as you were saying earlier on, Tim, take calculated risks and know how much you want to lose with that, and then you'll find that you'll be safe.
And I suppose it didn't hurt to be sitting up there in that corporate box either. Okay, so we've got a question from Katie.
So my question is, how do you think a business can bulletproof themselves against an economic recession?
Now, this is a tough question. We know that Katie was so smart in the sense that she opened the Melbourne office, and obviously she was smart enough that she survived.
I think something that businesses can do that is a good strategy in this type of situation is try to look beyond just your customer and look forward to what is the derived demand, the derived source of demand. And in her case, it's the digital media industry. So if you can be monitoring that industry and be aware if there's any downturns coming, if there's been a retraction of some funding for the industry, or they know that there's some kind of reduction in demand coming, that gives you an insight into what will be happening maybe 6-12 months down the track. So an event like the GFC, you know, who could predict that? But certainly there are strategies you can employ to help you manage through those situations.
Dory, you've talked about how in bad times you kind of work to forge alliances with customers and distributors and sort of work on some of that fundamental stuff. Yeah,
I guess it's always important having partnerships in place, and you know, we've always treated our clients as partners in the business, and I guess any downtime you're going to get within a business or within the economy, as Don was saying, it is hard to predict. But I always reassess and I always stress out that if you have the cash flow and you build a tight run business, you can overcome these tough times. And this is a time where you can take advantage of the GFC or a downtime. And this is where a lot of companies, the smart ones, who run a tight ship and a smart ship in the good times, are the ones that can take advantage in the bad times and possibly at times double the business. Our business grew by 30% in the downtime because we had the ability to be able to spend more money and market the business further and be more aggressive instead of being reactive or being proactive in that tough time. That's
you use that key word. I know that your business is based around branding, and marketing. I mean, that's what you do. You make those sort of corporate wear, the caps, the jackets, the USBs, the cups for particular companies. But I think, Matt, it's interesting because branding and marketing obviously extends beyond Dory's business. And it can be such a useful tool in business in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, branding is more than just a logo. It's the whole brand feel, it's the experience of your business. So for Katie, in the downtime, she can take an opportunity to actually invest in herself and invest in the business. So get her strategic plans right and actually plan for the good times. I mean, a lot of the time, Dora, you'd know that when you're having a successful time, sometimes the business can run off the rails a little bit because you're just thriving in success and you don't really need to think too hard to make money. But she should see these downtimes as an opportunity, Tim, to actually think about the business and how I can move forward in the next 12 months and really get that ship straightened again.
It is hard staying grounded when the money's rolling through and everything's running like clockworks, and that's the difference in business. It's the ones that stay focused and keeping their feet on the ground that can roll through these bad times.
I mean, one thing that research shows that during tough times, people that pare things back and focus on their core business, it really gives them an advantage to try and get through it because they can respond quicker and they can be more flexible. They're not worrying about all these peripheral activities around their business. So that's just one tip. During tough times, maybe pull it back and just focus on the core activities.
I know, Dory, that you focus so much on drawing lessons from related businesses, and you always say you're not just competing against the people in your industry, but also those producing alternative products. And you've sort of said you run your branding agency a lot like an ad agency.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's finding the core business of what you do. Our industry was sort of at the bottom end of the food chain, as you say. A lot of the agencies were really focusing on the big dollars and the big marketing and focusing on above the line media. And our industry was below the line marketing, and that was sort of the little brother. Last minute, we'll slap some logo onto a product and get the leftover budgets. But one thing I tried to focus within my industry, I saw the way our industry was being perceived is to change the way the industry gets perceived. So for me, was more about focusing on changing people's perception on merchandise. And 8 years down the track, we have found that the consumers have been a lot more aware that they can get a lot more bang for the buck by being clever with the way they spend it. It's
funny, having visited your company, I know that, say, Mercedes-Benz had you doing some merchandising for them, but they never saw it as something they could actually make money from, that their brand was so strong that people would actually pay for that cap or that jacket. Yeah. And that's where you've actually thought outside the square to bring more value.
I think it's important. You've got to educate your clients. They're good at selling cars. Some clients are good at selling computers. Merchandise and marketing is like their key business. So our aim is not just to sell the product. For me, the product was always a secondary component of the business. Our first aim was to educate our client and tell them where they can go with it and what they can do with the brand. And once they started getting that, we found that clients weren't too worried about saving 5 cents here or 5 cents there. It was more about we wanted to protect our brand and we want our brand to grow further, because anytime you put your product onto a brand, it's going to be in the marketplace for years to come.
Okay, guys, well, we could talk all day, but unfortunately...
Hang on a sec, Tim. We've got a little surprise for you. As we saw throughout the series, Tim was out on location shooting all those pieces with the businesses. And we thought we'd just have a little look back at a few of the lighter moments. Black one or brown? He had a lot of fun and he didn't mind a few freebies along the way as well. There was the netball skirt, there was the funny hat and lots of chips and chocolates and things like that. But that wasn't all. There was one more, which was Tim's favourite, a kangaroo scrotum he got from the Ugboot Company. So Tim, there you go.
Thank you very
much. Your little
much.
Souvenir from the series.
Yeah, no, I'll be able to give this to my dad, I'm sure, at Christmas time. Well, thanks so much to our panel and all our panels and all the businesses that have featured on Small Biz Central. And of course to you, Don, who's been our perennial panellist. And of course, thank you to all the businesses that have joined us throughout the series. We've got a fantastic website, www.smallbizcentral.com.au, with some fantastic resources. And of course, a big thank you to our viewers that have joined us throughout the series. It's goodbye for now.